Okay, before I start, I want to remind you to subscribe to my other channel for live streams. We did have a live stream today called Razor Ray Live Wounds. I don't always have time during the day to alert you to when I have a live stream on the other channel. So if you subscribe and hit the bell, you can actually get a notification. Because I do know a couple people have asked me, well, how come we don't see your streams anymore? Because they're not on this channel because of YouTube. Anyway, so there is an issue that it will become more and more of a problem for some Democrats, whether in the media or in elected office or in the entertainment industry or in the activist sector, although I guess all three of those kind of merge together at certain, to a certain extent. So Alyssa Milano has apparently been forced to renounce Linda Sarsour. Well, I don't know if she was forced to, but it started probably, I'd say, 2 weeks ago at this event, Politicon, where Laura Loomer confronted her. So let's watch that.
Forced to wear a hijab, and in Iran right now, you're talking about. Excuse me, let me talk. You are talking about being a representative for women. I would like to ask my question. No.
Your question.
I'm asking it. My question is, will you please disavow her because she is advocating for Sharia law?
She's not.
She's not. But thank you so much for your question.
She actually did.
What did she say?
When she endorsed Sharia law. No, please. And you also tweeted in 2012, Bill Clinton, I love you so much. Crazy amounts of love.
Yes. Yes, I did, and I do think he should be. Investigated. Thank you for your question. Oh, I don't think that's true.
I don't think that's true or helpful.
Listen, excuse me. Can I say something to you? I say something to you?
Wait, folks.
Can I say something?
There's no need to boo.
There's no need to boo. It's fine. But here's
Actually,
the deal.
she got one answer to a
Excuse me.
question she might have wanted to hear.
Excuse me. If we don't learn how to talk to each other, we're never going to evolve. With a very distinct tone. I wish you well. God bless you. I answered 2 questions of yours. Thank you so much.
Y'all, Politicons
Be well.
wild.
Hi.
Sir, hi.
Sorry about that. So I'm a student reporter at USC, and I'm actually a student researcher at the USC Inclusion Initiative.
So you can see there, this is Laura Loomer, and there's actually, it appears that there were a couple of Trump supporters
USC
in
Inclusion
the room.
Initiative.
And Alyssa Milano happens to be this big icon of the resistance and everything. So Alyssa Milano, I believe, is one of the most delusional people on the, on TV or anywhere where there's like, political talk. And I can't for the life of me understand why anybody cares what she has to say. She does have 3.5 million Twitter followers and literally all of her posts. So you just saw her not objecting to Laura Loomer getting escorted out of Politicon, which is supposed to be like a very open event where people of all different kinds of viewpoints come to exchange their ideas and just get debate and things like that. So now she's like all bent out of shape because Jim Acosta got kicked out of the White House. You can see that Acosta sent he made a tweet of the Secret Service confiscating his press pass, which I think is hilarious. It takes like a whole minute for him to give his press pass over. And she also freaked out. She says, "I'm not taking a day off. Too much to do as long as Donald Trump is our president." So he is your president now. I guess you have come a long way since 2016. See that? She says, "As long as real Donald Trump is our president, I'm not taking a day off." So he's basically got his mind control over her. So what's really the issue today? Why am I discussing Alyssa Milano? Well, the fact is that Alyssa Milano has renounced the Women's March. She refuses to speak at the next Women's March. She cites anti-Semitism. She said in a recent interview that she does not intend to support the Women's March so long as it defends bigotry or anti-Semitism. In an interview with The Advocate, a gay community magazine, Milano condemned Women's March organizers Linda Sarsour and Tamika Mallory for supporting Louis Farrakhan. The Nation of Islam leader has routinely made misogynistic, homophobic, and anti-Semitic comments. Anytime that there is any bigotry or anti-Semitism in that respect, it needs to be called out and addressed. I'm disappointed with the leadership of the Women's March that they haven't done it adequately, Milano said. Milano gained national attention through the Me Too movement, followed by Tarana Burke. The movement won household recognition after Milano encouraged followers on Twitter to reply "Me Too" if they had been sexually harassed or assaulted. Milano, a Hollywood actress, has strong bona fides as an activist California Democrat. She attended a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing for now Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh and Christine Blasey Ford, who accused him of sexual assault while they were in high school as a guest of Senator Dianne Feinstein. The actress said she believed Ford's allegations, which went uncorroborated, and would be at the hearing in solidarity with her. I'm sure Christine Ford, I'm sure that her testimony really was, I guess, validated by the fact that she sat in the room and pretended to be important, just like she does every day, Alyssa Milano. Milano endorsed Representative Robert Francis O'Rourke, popularly known as Beto, for president last night. Milano's speech at the Women's March in January was widely praised as rousing and beautiful by Zimbio and a highlight by Glamour. It defines democracy, Bustle wrote. So these people are, so I'll tell you what, the activist circle is basically, that's what they are. They're a circle jerk. All they do is they go around and reach around for each other and give, and basically what's going to happen from now on is that these circles are going to break apart and become ever smaller circles. Until now, they could basically feed off of each other and their whatever positive vibes in their heads that they're supporting the resistance and whatever. But now there's actual power to divide. And they're going to learn that the interests of some people that were part of this activist movement in the years 2016 to 2018, for the next 2 years, they're going to be fighting over whose priorities will take precedence as Nancy Pelosi is Speaker of the House, and then there's all these different divisions within the Senate Democrat, or the House Democratic Party. Asked if she would speak at the march again, Milano said she would not, so long as Sarsour and Mallory were at the helm. I would say no at this point, she answered. Unfortunate that none of them have come forward against him at this point, or even given a really good reason why to support them. Milano's criticism of those who abet Farrakhan and those who give him a pass sets her apart from some others in the Democratic Party. Many have downplayed Farrakhan's importance or ignored fellow progressives' reluctance to directly address his bigotry, the Washington Free Beacon reported. President Bill Clinton shared a stage with Farrakhan. And I still remember, the fact was that Farrakhan wasn't even the highlight of that speech, of that event. It was just, it would have been a bigger issue if not for the fact that Clinton was looking at Ariana Grande's ass the entire time. His daughter Chelsea Clinton, however, called on Democrats to condemn Farrakhan following his termites comment. Former Attorney General Eric Holder posed for a photograph with him at Franklin's funeral. That's with Louis Farrakhan. So Eric Holder, the former Attorney General of the United States, and some would say, I think he would really be a long shot, but a presidential candidate. He posed with Louis Farrakhan. President Barack Obama posed for a photograph with Farrakhan in 2005. The photographer Askia Mohammed admitted earlier that year that he had suppressed the photograph for fear Obama may be tied to Farrakhan during his presidential campaigns. He said the photograph absolutely would have made a difference. So you have even people admitting, yeah, we for years we were whitewashing this issue. For years we were saying, well, it doesn't really matter that not only does it not matter that Democratic politicians are fraternizing with somebody like Farrakhan, whose belief system really clashes with the Democratic Party's stated belief system of feminism and the gay crap and all the stuff about not making fun of people looking like disgusting, like giant pandas or whatever, and stuffing their faces all the time. Those democratic values. Farrakhan doesn't care. He'll say anything. He'll talk shit about anybody. Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes it's a bit disturbing, to be honest with you. But their real issue is that they will call out literally anybody who says the mildest thing. The monkeying up Florida with socialism comment. That was over the line for them over in Florida. But with Farrakhan, it's a free pass because it's Farrakhan feminism. Linda Sarsour, head of the Women's March and progressive figure, has maintained ties to Farrakhan. And I will add, this despite Farrakhan has said defamatory things, not just about Jews, and Israelis, but about Palestinians as well. And I actually had a video about that a few months ago. She also has ties to unindicted terror co-conspirators and publicly expressed a wish to take away the vagina of an insufficiently progressive woman. That was Ayaan Hirsi Ali, who had already, by the way, had female genital mutilation performed on her. She has repeatedly declined to condemn Farrakhan. Tamika Mallory, another Women's March leader, has called Farrakhan the GOAT, greatest of all time, and defended him on multiple occasions, forcing some of the march's organizers to apologize to Jewish supporters for the pain she caused. Representative Danny Davis, a Democrat of Illinois, called Farrakhan an outstanding human being. So she's never, ever, ever, Alyssa Milano until now has never done anything to try to address this issue because she doesn't really have any true beliefs or depth behind her words. Alyssa Milano is basically just a spokeswoman, a prop for the Democratic agenda. But we'll keep reading. The New Yorker's Masha Gessen, another idiot, by the way. Masha Gessen is one of the biggest Russia-phobia propagators there is. So Masha Gessen described Farrakhan's connection to the Women's March leader and how he has been wielding major political influence for 2 generations. CNN host Jake Tapper has been one of few mainstream media figures to raise alarm at Farrakhan's status among Democrats. In a Twitter thread in February, he contrasted Farrakhan from fringe right figures who have little purchase in American politics, whereas the KKK's David Duke and white supremacist Richard Spencer are universally condemned and the target of blanket opprobrium from Republican lawmakers. Tapper said Farrakhan has a much larger following among Democrats. The initial discovery of the Women's March accommodation for Farrakhan and his adherents prompted what one reporter of BuzzFeed News called an anti-Semitism crisis. Rabbi Sharon Bruce, a speaker at the Women's March, condemned the anti-Semitism within the march's ranks. There is no room in a multi-faith, multi-ethnic coalition movement for anti-Semitism, homophobia, or transphobia. Full stop, she said in March. Nevertheless, Sarsour and the Women's March remain welcome figures on the left. Ben & Jerry's recently announced it plans to partner with them to produce an anti-Trump ice cream flavor and to donate $25,000 to the Women's March. The company brushed off the idea it may be abetting Sarsour's anti-Semitic views and affiliations and says, "Thanks for the feedback. We may not agree on everything, but the work that Linda has done to promote women's rights is undeniably important, and we are proud to join her in the effort," the company tweeted in response to a Twitter user who said the ice cream is tainted with hate. So I would say this concerning, Ben & Jerry's. I never really bought their ice cream. For some reason, my dad always liked it. And I was like, okay, it's not any better than any of the other ice cream that they sell in the stores. And I don't really eat ice cream that often. In the past few months, I think I've eaten it more than I did the past 5 years. But I've kind of quit doing that too. So I don't have any real leverage to put forward. So it doesn't really make any sense for me to say, I'm not going to buy any Ben & Jerry's ice cream ever again. Because I don't buy their ice cream. Because I think it just isn't that much different from the other ones. But they're just tremendous idiots. So if you buy Ben & Jerry's ice cream, I want you to think about the intelligence of the people who run the company and then consider a different product. I mean, just of your. I mean, yes, you can continue to buy Ben and Jerry's, but you can also consider the fact that they think that Linda Sarsour is promoting and helping the cause of women's rights. And I think you'll realize that that ice cream might just not taste as good in your mouth because you're thinking about that while eating it. So anyway, the Women's March hasn't really addressed the Alyssa Milano controversy. What I would say is, why am I on this French Stewart article? Oh, because he was in the same film as her. So Alyssa Milano, I don't understand why anybody would care about anything she's done, because I think the most famous movie she was in was Commando, where she was probably a child star, seeing as she was born I think in 1970. Yeah, so she was probably like less than 14 years old when this was going on. And I think her most famous role is Who's the Boss, and then there's a bunch of other series where she makes kind of cameo appearances, and then there's a Family Guy. Where else here? My Name is Earl. That actually was a good show, but she's been really just a has-been. Melrose Place. Okay, so she was in the top soap opera on TV for a while. Okay, yeah, Melrose Place, by the way, was on TV for like 20 years or so. And what was the other show that I remember when it premiered? There was another sitcom called Models Inc. that basically got canceled within a week. So it's weird how two shows could have the exact same setting and then only one of them succeeds. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's. I mean, I also don't watch either of those shows, so nothing I can say about that. But this woman is not really. She's not really a quality actress, if I may say so. If you look at some of the films she's been in, there's Buying the Cow, which seems just ridiculous. And it's been rated one out of 5 stars and called it memorable for all the wrong reasons because of its misogyny and homophobia. Let me see here. David is too afraid to commit to his girlfriend Sarah, who is pressuring him to get married. While she goes away to New York for work for 2 months, David's friends persuade him to experience the dating scene one more time. Meanwhile, David's womanizing friend Mike gets drunk one night and mistakenly believes he has had sex with a man and afterwards makes several awkward attempts to come out of the closet, even though he is not really gay. So this was with Ryan Reynolds. So this sounds like a retarded film. So she was in that one. This is the same guy who's he's directed Van Wilder. What's another one? Dickie Roberts, former child star. I remember that movie sucked. That was awful. Dinotopia, Quest for the Ruby Sunstone. What was that? So My Girlfriend's Boyfriend. There's that one. Beverly Hills Chihuahua 2. So she was only in the sequel. This is the woman. I want to ask you guys. This is a woman who is basically. So the Women's March. I can't figure out who's losing here. You have the Women's March, which has the world's most transparently hypocritical feminist, Linda Sarsour. Is she losing out because Alyssa Milano, the star of Beverly Hills Chihuahua 2, is leaving the Women's March? Why does anybody care what these people think? I believe that honestly these movements are basically drying up, and they'll continue to dry up because people will start to realize that the goal that they were fighting for, the Democratic Party finally seizing control of one of the reins of government, well, it's not going to mean much because, first of all, they could pass bills in the House, but then the Senate can just, vote against those bills, and pretty much you're going to have gridlock for the next 2 years in many cases. And then, on the other hand, if you think about it, if the Democrats start passing bills in a bipartisan manner with the Republicans, that the entire point of the Women's March doesn't make any sense. The Women's March was portraying the Republicans as basically an existential threat to the women and minorities of America. And if they start basically, if the Democrats, start to pass things like infrastructure or even if you see Senate Democrats voting for, certain treaties that Trump puts forward, or the women, or some of these Democratic senators end up breaking with the party and voting for some of his court picks, the movement's going to look ridiculous because they've built their entire movement on influencing the Democratic Party from within. But now that the Democrats do have some power in the legislature due to their having control of one of the houses, it's going to look meaningless. The Democratic Party, basically, they've gained 2 years of incumbency in a lot of these districts, and the speaker's gavel, and control the budgets of the USA. So that for them is a win. But what they're losing is they're losing this notion that, oh, they're the opposition and they're not to blame for any of the failures of the country or anything. Listen, they're going to be in a lot of pressure. They're going to be under a lot of pressure to be able to prove that they can actually help the country succeed economically over the next 2 years. If they run the country into a recession during the next 2 years, okay, if people start to say, well, this fiscal policy doesn't make any sense, Trump will just point and say, hey, the budget and everything. I would actually like to see him, trick them into doing a couple government shutdowns. And, eventually they would end up caving. So I think that we're really seeing the drying up of the activist scene within the Democratic Party. The Women's March already has very low engagement in its social media. You can see here, 15 people for this post. This one did end up having, but it was a retweet of Stacey Abrams. Their best coverage is from retweets here. Here's from Domestic Workers. That guy, 3 retweets. Okay, for the Sharice Edwards win in Kansas, which I'll admit that was an impressive win. What's another one here? This one got 11 comments. So a lot of their comments are not even. Some of them are doing pretty well. But this is the one that a lot of people were talking about, the white women comment. So white women, 76% for Kemp, Cruz 59%, DeSantis 51%, black women 95% for O'Rourke, 97% for Abrams, and 82% for Gillum. Well, she also, first of all, she misspelled Abrams' name. And second of all, he says white women going to be white. This is ridiculous. Yeah, and then somebody asked him, people keep asking, why did 8 of 10 black women vote for Gillum instead of 9 of 10? I don't fucking know. Why not ask me why 6 of 10 white women voted against O'Rourke, but 3/4 voted against Abrams? Because I think I know the answer to that. So this guy has, how does he even have 28,000 followers? He's ridiculous. So yeah, the Mick resistance is basically turning on itself, and these people are going to end up scaring each other away. Eventually, the pressure within is going to burst, and the movement itself, I see the Women's March having even less success this year than it had this coming year, 2019, than it had in 2018, and they lost a lot of momentum. That's about it, though. So please like this video, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to Razor Ray Live Wounds, my other channel. Also, please share the video and comment when it uploads, and contribute to me on Patreon below Chef Leopard if you want to help, show your appreciation. I'll see you guys later. Take it easy.